Back on the record, the time is 10:29 a.m.
Okay, so where did you go to grad school?
I didn't.
Okay. What's your current occupation?
Self-employed.
And what do you do for work?
I invest in capital markets.
How long have you been an investor?
15 plus years.
When did you start?
15 years ago.
15 years ago.
I mean, sorry, I didn't mean to make it sound like that, sorry.
What was your first job in the investment world?
Oh, I worked at a La Jolla Capital, it was called. It was like a...
I've heard of La Jolla.
Oh, there's La Jolla Capital that's now a real estate firm. It's not the same thing.
Okay.
So it's probably what you've heard of.
And approximately when was that you worked at La Jolla Capital?
07. Like the very end of 06, beginning of 07, that kind of thing. It's a while ago.
And what did you do at La Jolla Capital?
I mean, it started out with like a lot of like, you know, running errands and nonsense, you know, like gravitated into paperwork, prospecting, cold calling, you know, random stuff from everything a financial firm does, you know.
Yeah. And how long were you there?
Maybe like 2 years, like maybe like 8, 9 to 20 months, somewhere in that neighborhood. Between 18 months and 24 months, let's say that.
And estimations on these are fine.
Okay,
I'm not
cool.
looking for
Okay,
exact. I'm just kind of trying to get an idea. After La Jolla Capital, where did you go to work, or what did you do for work?
By then, I just branched out and did my own. It's the same thing I'm doing right now.
So that's when you started.
Yeah, correct.
Investing
exactly.
on your own.
Yeah, so I've been correct.
So that would have been about what 08, 09?
Oh no, yeah, like 09, correct.
Okay.
Yeah, so like there's the 15 years, correct. See, numbers.
And what I mean, you say that you invest in capital markets.
Yeah.
Do you invest your own money or other people's money, or both?
Just my own money, mine and my wife. We have no investors, no outside capital, nothing.
Do you have experience reading OTC disclosures?
Yeah.
What kind of experience do you have?
Just, you know, years and years of doing it. I mean, just like anyone else. I mean, there's no class in school.
Right.
OTC disclosures, you know.
Right. If you had to estimate how many OTC disclosures over the years you've read, could you do it?
Oh God, 50,000 at least. I mean, so many. It's not even funny. I mean,
right.
You know. Obviously, it used to be a busier market than it is now. So, like, you know.
Did you ever have any training or education around those types of filings, or was it just kind of on the job learning?
It was on the job, but I was learning from an attorney, like who was reading through the filings at La Jolla Capital. Like, so I was like able to like read, you know. I was like getting to ask questions, seeing what he was reading. You know what I mean? It wasn't like some random idiot like saying, "Hey, what does this mean?" You know?
Right. Okay. And so you've been on your own since then. You invest your own money. Okay. Have you ever filed any lawsuits against anyone else?
Yeah, I had to. Yes.
How many?
One.
Can you just give me a general description of what the lawsuit's about?
Yeah, it was a company I had invested in. We invested, I think, $2 million, me and my wife, and it was an Israeli company. It was. I mean, there's story after story, but it was like basically they took the money and like didn't do what they were supposed to do. Like, I mean, it's the same story. I mean, you know, the same thing. And then it was actually the first and only person I ever sued.
What was the name of the company?
Green Box.
Green Box.
It's not called that anymore. It's now called Rival. So if you look them up, it would be RYVL. They're on the NASDAQ right now. It's either RYVL or VYL, one of those two.
RVYL.
Rival.
RYVL.
Yeah, it's probably that, yeah.
Okay. And when was that lawsuit?
2019, I'm gonna say. Maybe the end of 18.
Okay, so aside from that lawsuit and this lawsuit, have you ever been involved in any other lawsuits as a party?
Oh, you mean like as a plaintiff or defendant?
Yes.
No.
No. Okay, so just those two.
I don't like wearing suits.
Okay, well, finally made it to the first document, which I'll introduce. I'm going to share my screen,
Gotcha.
and so the PDF should show up on yours if everything's
Got it.
going according to plan. Okay, can everyone see that?
Mm-hmm.
This, we'll mark this as exhibit number 1 to today's deposition. Exhibit number 1 is Plaintiff George Sharp's second amended notice of deposition of defendant Brett Rosen. I'm going to scroll through it so you can see. It's a 5-page document altogether. On page 3, it has 3 requests for production of documents, and there's a proof of service at the bottom. Have you ever seen this document before?
Yes.
When did you first learn about this deposition?
I don't remember. Whenever he told me about it, I mean, I have no idea. Like, whenever he told me about it, I mean, he called and said the deposition, they want to set it for August something. That's when I found out about it.
Okay. Tell me everything you did, aside from any conversations you had with your attorneys, to prepare for today's deposition.
Just went over all the documentation and stuff that basically made me tweet or, comment what I commented on. Went over certain documents. That's all the preparation that there is to do.
Did you have any meetings with anyone?
Just my lawyer.
Okay. How long did that meeting last?
With him?
Yes.
An hour, maybe an hour and a half.
Was anyone else there aside from the two of you?
Just the lady that made the photocopies.
The lady. Oh, is that one of you?
No, she wasn't actually. That was just a joke. She handed me all the documents. It's just.
Okay, understood. So, the notice of deposition, as I mentioned on page 3, and I'll pull this up on your screen so you can see it and make it a little bigger there.
I got you.
So, lists 3 document requests, and they reference the special interrogatories, which we'll get to in a bit. But I just want to know what, if anything, you did to search for documents to produce.
How did I find them? With SEC filings.
Okay.
Oh,
So SEC filings, there were other things in there as
Google,
well.
or like you find them through Google, then it leads you to an archive, which leads you to or a research report, or I don't know. How does anyone do research for this? I mean.
Okay. All right. Well, we'll go through some individual documents. Have you produced all of the documents that you're aware of that are responsive to these requests?
Yes.
Okay. As of this date, as you sit here today, can you confirm that you've produced all documents that you intend to use at trial?
You mean, are there going to be more, or am I the one that produced these?
Well,
I don't know if we're asking the same. I don't know what you're asking. I'm sorry.
That's a good clarifying question. So what I'm trying to get at is, have all of the documents that you're aware of that you intend to rely on?
So it is.
Case,
Okay.
have they all been produced?
Hold on. So it's overbroad. It's calls for speculation. It lacks foundation. I mean, we've produced what we have as of now that we're aware of. We are continuing to look. Mr. Sharp is continuing to tweet too, so we are continuing to watch those. So obviously, as tweets keep getting posted, there will be more documents coming out that are not available right now. But
right.
I can represent that as of now, we've produced everything we're aware of that is responsive to your document, your requests.
Thank you. Before today, Mr. Rosen, had you ever met George Sharp?
Never.
When did you first become aware that Mr. Sharp had filed a complaint against you?
Whenever it was filed, shortly after. I don't know. Quite honestly, I didn't take it too seriously, so I don't really remember.
Okay. How'd you learn about the complaint?
understand what you mean.
If you remember, did someone call and tell you, hey, someone sued you? Did you search and find evidence that there was a complaint filed?
Oh, I remember. Actually, he was tweeting all over the internet, and people were sending me like his tweets about like how he tried to proof of serve me on some nonsense at the ILUS shareholder meeting in Florida, and then I wasn't actually there, and I don't know. I spent the whole time there. So that's actually how I learned about it. That was the thing that was pretty funny.
Okay, so through Mr. Sharp's tweets talking about attempts
But
to
I mean,
serve you?
he had me blocked. I mean, I don't see him. I only have one Twitter account. Some people, send me screenshots. I mean, that's the only way I see it. I mean, I don't care what he writes.
When did you first contact an attorney to discuss the complaint?
After I actually physically got a copy of it.
Okay, and how did you get a copy of the complaint?
I think I might have called the lawyer first, and she got a copy. I think Christine got a copy of it. I think I actually told the story backwards. Sorry.
Okay.
I think it might have been the opposite way.
So you found out through Twitter that George had filed a
Yeah.
lawsuit. You called an attorney.
Well,
and-
I mean, it's yeah.
And I don't want to know what you talked about with the attorney, but you were able to obtain a copy of the,
correct.
lawsuit at that point. And who was the first attorney you contacted?
Christine Blagoff.
Why did you choose her?
Hold on a second. This is completely irrelevant. Like, what are we talking about? What does this have to do with defamation?
Relevance isn't a valid objection.
Well, it is if
At
it's
a
going to go into the
deposition?
attorney. You're trying to, you're poking on the attorney-client privilege.
I'm not
So-
asking for any communications. I'm just asking for the reasons he chose that attorney.
No, that's irrelevant. You don't have to answer that if you don't want to.
So you're instructing him not to
Yes.
answer?
Yes,
Based on what?
based on privilege. Relevance, privilege. Like, you don't have to talk about what you want. What you want with your attorney.
Okay, are you going to follow your attorney's advice to not answer the question?
Yes. And
Okay. So you've mentioned you were aware of attempts to serve the complaint on you.
Yeah.
Hold on. That's misstates testimony.
Wait, what? Aware of attempts to.
He testified that he was aware of tweets that said
Yeah.
that there were attempts, and not that there were attempts.
Can you explain why you didn't agree to accept service?
Relevance. What does it matter? Well, you're wasting our time. He's already been served. Can you explain?
Do you have a valid objection?
Yes. Yes.
Or-
Burdensome, harassing, wasting our time.
okay, none of that entitles him to not answer the question.
It entitles me to stop this because we've now asked, were you aware you were served? We're here. Did you cheat on your wife? Have you done cocaine? What are we doing here? Like, this is absurd.
Okay, are you instructing him not to answer the question?
No, but I want
Okay.
you to give an offer of proof as to why you're wasting our time with this.
I'm not wasting anyone's time. I'm asking questions that are relevant to the cross-complaint, to the complaint, and to the hundreds of pages that you guys have produced.
Were you aware
that
you
were
were served?
purportedly in support of your defense? So I'm trying to understand, of all of the hundreds of pages that you guys have produced, I'm trying to make sense of it.
Perfect.
That's it.
Let's get to that.
That's exactly what I'm doing.
Well, that has nothing to do with, did you think you were served?
All right. Any other objections before we move on?
Burdensome, harassing, lacks foundation, calls for speculation.
Okay. And your answer, Mr. Rosen?
Rely on the advice of my attorney.
Well, you can go
He's
ahead
not
and answer.
instructing
I'm
you
sorry,
not to
I
answer.
don't even remember what the question was. What was the question? That's actually why I said it, sorry.
Could you repeat back the
I'm sure,
question,
no problem
please?
answering.
Thank you.
Question, can you explain why you didn't agree to accept service?
I did agree to accept service several times via tweets. I contacted him directly and said,
Hold on.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
I contacted him directly through direct messages and wrote, hey, look, maybe you have the wrong impression of me. How about this? How about we set up a time to a service?
Okay.
Then all of a sudden I was blocked immediately. I never could send another message to the guy. That was it. And then he just spies on me with all his like fake accounts. No problem.
Hold on,
No
calm
problem.
down.
Did you write and post a tweet on August 20th, 2022, which states, maybe he should pull up the filing that shows how GS got 50 M shares of Humble for $5,000 when those shares had a value of nearly $45 million. As usual, Georgie never got a payday, which is why he's still broke.
Do you
Yes.
have a document? If he's reading from something, we should.
Yeah, see it, of course. Yeah.
Okay. Let's introduce exhibit number 2, which will be the complaint. All right, can you see the complaint on your screen?
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm going to go down so that we can read these together.
I see it.
Okay. So paragraph 11 is the tweet that I just
Yes, I wrote that.
read. Okay.
Correct.
What specific filing were you referring to?
Easy. The December 4th, 2020 warrant between Forwardly and Tesoro.
I'm sorry.
Forwardly, stupid name I know. FORW is the name, is the symbol, and then I forget, Tesoro, the custodian company that became Humble.
Okay. We will now introduce that as an exhibit. Give me just a moment. Okay, I will now introduce what we will mark as exhibit number 3. Exhibit number 3 is a 6-page document that was produced by your counsel, beginning with Bates label BR002910 and then ending with BR002915. The title at the top, well, it looks like it's a Tesoro Industries warrant to purchase shares of common stock.
Correct.
Is this the document you were referring to?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Can you show me in this document where it says that Mr. Sharp purchased 50 million shares for $5,000?
I actually was wrong. It was 500 million shares.
500?
I'm so sorry. I was actually wrong. I was actually off by tenfold.
Okay.
Oops. It's and 500 million times quad 04. I don't have a calculator with me, but I'm positive it's $5,000.
All right. Well, let's take a look.
I mean, this is a.
We lawyers aren't very good at math, so we got to move slow. Okay. So you're saying 500 million
Times 0.00001 is $5,000.
Okay. I'll do the math just to confirm on that. But
I get it. When a lawyer pulls out his phone like this, you know it's the calculator. It's always the calculator.
0.00001. Okay. What is a par value?
Par value. It's the basically if that truck scenario, if the world were to end, that's the value of the shares basically.
Okay. What's the difference between the par value and a
Conversion price.
exercise price?
Same thing.
Okay. What's the difference?
Well,
Is there a difference?
But the exercise price can there is a difference. But
Okay.
exercise price can be the conversion price. It can,
Sure.
can be the par value, which in this case it was.
What's the difference? So
Oh, yeah.
if we can go back to my question, what's the difference between the exercise price and the par value?
The par value is the par value, like I just stated, and the exercise price is the price at which the warrant is exercised.
Okay. Or can be exercised?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. Can we go off for a minute?
Yeah, of course.
All right. We've
Off the record, the time is 10:49 a.m.
been going about an hour. Let's maybe take a